Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. So the summer of 1984 was one of the best summers of my life. I think I went to this camp, Camp Seagull in North Carolina. They taught us like boating, all these amazing things. And it was the movie, The Karate Kid that came out, the amazing movie with Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRussa, who's moving from New Jersey to Reseda in the valley, in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. And his amazing teacher, played by the great Pat Morita, plays Mr. Miyagi. And I always wanted a Mr. Miyagi. I wanted an old, wise, teacher who would just give me great advice all the time and just be like a great friend and teacher. And then even teach me karate, something really cool like that. So just amazing. I mean, I had some Rebbeim over the years that were great Rebbeim. I had like Rabbi Daniel Wilner when I was at Yeitzer HaRah, and the great Rabbi Eitan Feiner when I was at Yeitzer HaRah. And we had an amazing, our Rav here was Rav Peretz Dinovitz Tzal, who was an amazing person. He's just a tzaddik. He's just so kind and nice, and he was a lot, the closest I ever got to a Mr. Miyagi. He just gave us great advice and just was a great friend. And they had a rabbi and Rebbetzin Dinovitz. They invited us over a lot of Shabbos meals, and it was just really great. I never had a real, the full Mr. Miyagi, just teacher that'll be with me, teaching me all the Torah, and hopefully teaching me karate or kung fu. Okay, so what's amazing is this amazing scene where Mr. Miyagi, he's starting to teach Daniel, he's starting to teach him karate, and Daniel's getting really frustrated because like all the karate teaching is just like Mr. Miyagi has these great classic cars, and he's teaching him like put the wax on the car, take the wax off the car. He's like paint the fence, sand the deck, and he gets frustrated. He's like, you're supposed to be teaching me karate, because these bullies at school led by, let's see, it was William Zabka, who was Johnny, and then in the evil sensei at Cobra Kai was played by Martin Kove, Sensei Kreese, the veteran from the Vietnam War, but he's going to the dark side. And so Daniel's getting really frustrated because these bullies, Johnny and his gang, they're attacking him all the time, and he needs to really know karate. And he's like, all you're teaching me, all I'm doing is your chores. I'm doing your chores. And then Mr. Miyagi says, he says, paint the fence. And like he shows that it's really a block. But he's like, it's ingrained in Daniel now. And like wax on, wax off, it's like they're all blocks. They're defensive moves. And now he's already learned karate and doesn't even realize it. Hashem is doing this with us all the time. He's giving us all these Yesirim. And it's just it's so frustrating when it's happening. Like we have sickness, or we're having problems with parnasa. We're having problems making money, or we're having we're fighting with our wife, or we're fighting with our friends or our family, and we don't understand why all of these things are coming at us. Things are breaking. It's just so frustrating. We're dealing constantly with these constant Yesurims, but Hashem's really training us and teaching us the whole time, and it's all really paint the fence. It's already, we're learning how to fight against the Yeitzer HaRah. And the movie is like such a great mushal because like the evil dojo is Cobra Kai, the Cobra. And who are we fighting against? We're fighting against the Nachash. We're fighting against the Yeitzer HaRah, the Satan. So who is it? So Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, he teaches something really great in Koheles. I think it's translated as Ecclesiastes. And it's, if you want to look it up, it's Koheles, it's chapter 4. It's verse Pasuk 13. And it says, Tov yeled mishkein v'chacham, mi melech zakein ukasil, asher lo yada lihi zacher od. So what does that mean? Right, so what it is it's teaching us, King Solomon is teaching us about the Yeitzer HaTov, and then Hashem's teaching us how to strengthen our Yeitzer HaTov, the good impulse, and he's teaching us how to fight against the Yeitzer HaRah. Right, so the Yeitzer HaTov is the poor, it's the child, it's the young man who's poor and wise. So what does that mean? So it's good to be like youthful. It's good to be youthful, and it means an innocence of like a child, to not have the experience of a Veira Chas v'Shalom, to not be transgressing Hashem's mitzvos, Hashem's commands, his decrees. And poor, sometimes, like no one wants to be poor, especially in America, like capitalism. We all want to be, billionaires. That's good, right? In the capitalist religion, right? Being poor is evil. Being poor is a sinner in the capitalism, and being, but there is an advantage being poor. Poor, in this sense, like without the taiva of like chasing after money all the time. And if we're not chasing after money all the time, if we're not spending our whole days and nights thinking and working how to become rich and billionaires, then we can become a chacham. We can become wise because we can devote our days and nights to learning the Torah and doing the mitzvahs. And we become a chacham, we become wise. So many people are just caught up in the quote-unquote rat race. They're trying to make money, trying to become wealthy. We need to work. We need to make money to pay the bills. And we need food, and we need clothes, and we need all these things. We need to support our families and support ourselves. But we want to devote most of our time to learning Torah. So the Yeitzer HaTov is the poor, the Yeled, the poor, almost the poor child, but is wise. Now, what we don't want to be, and that's greater, and Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon tells us that's Tov, that's good, and that's much better than the king, the Melech Zakenu Kasil. So a king that's old and he's a fool. So what does that mean? So a king, a king being a leader, being powerful, also there's a big taiva for it, in capitalism. Everyone can become president of the United States. Everyone, wants power and leadership. But a lot of times, that takes up a lot of time. And in some ways we can do more good not being good. I mean, if it's a melech like Shlomo HaMelech or David HaMelech, like King Solomon or King David, it's really a good king, a good leader. They can do tremendous good in the world. But we haven't really seen like great kings, great presidents, great prime ministers in quite some time. So just always chasing after their power is like the foolishness of the king. Now, he's old. Now, in this case, like someone can become wise with age, like a zaken in Torah. But in this case, his only experience is in Avera. All his old age, all his years has been spent doing Avera chas v'shalom, and listening to the Yeitzer HaRah, listening to the evil impulse, listening to the Satan. So he's a king, but he's old, but he's a kasil. He's foolish. He has no real knowledge of Torah and mitzvos, and he spent his days just acquiring wealth and just chasing after power and fame and fortune. And then he's Asher lo yada lehizacher od. He doesn't know how to be careful anymore. So why is that the foolish case? So the Yeitzer HaRah wants us to act impulsively, and we learn in Mesilas Yesharim by the Ramchal, by the great Rabbi Luria, and Chaim Lozado, and the Ramchal teaches in Mesilas Yesharim, and he gets this from Rebbe Pinchas Ben Yair. And it's the advice of like the first madrega, the first step is zechirus, being careful. We should think about everything we do or say before we do it. Is it going to bring us closer to Hashem or chas v'shalom farther away? And the first step is, sor meirah, turn away from evil, don't listen to the Yeitzer HaRah. And then it's osei tov. And then the next step is zerizus. Then we should be energetic. But energetic in learning Torah and doing the mitzvah. So being careful, sor meirah, turn away from the Yeitzer HaRah, turn away from Cobra Kai, don't do Avera, and osei tov, do the mitzvos. Do the mitzvos, do good things. And it's also the ability not listening to Musar. So what we really need is what we don't realize is, in a sense, we should be seeking, rabbi. Make yourself a rabbi, the advice of Pirkei Avos, and we need great Rebbeim, we need a great Rebbe, to teach us the Torah and teach us how to perfect our midos. But just what the Rebbeim we have are great, but we have the ultimate Rebbe, we have the ultimate Melech, the ultimate King, Hashem. And even though it doesn't seem like it all the time, even though like all these Yisurim, all this suffering we're going through, it seems like just like wax the car and paint the fence and sand the deck. Hashem's doing all these Yisurim, He's putting all these things in our way, and He's strengthening us to fight the Yeitzer HaRah. So in the movie, in The Karate Kid, what's the big tournament? The All Valley tournament against Johnny and the rest of the Cobra Kai, again, the big fight against the Nachash. And I believe it says in Chavos Levavos, there's a soldier coming back from the war. I haven't seen in a while, I forgot who it is exactly. And this rabbi goes, the soldier's coming back from the little war. He goes, the soldier, you're coming from the little war. He's like, what do you mean I'm coming from the little war? I just fought. My life was on the line. I was fighting the enemy. He's like, but there's the great war. The great war is against the Yeitzer HaRah. Every day we're fighting the Yeitzer HaRah. Chas v'shalom, if we're not fighting him, if we don't know the Yeitzer HaRah exists, but we're training, we're fighting, and we're getting ready for that great war. We're fighting that great war, the All Valley tournament. and we can do the white crane, and knock out the Yeitzer HaRah B'ezrat Hashem, and that's how we become a tzaddik Gomorrah. We just eradicate the Yeitzer HaRah. All right, so it was a great movie. It's great having, it would be great having a Rabbi Miyagi. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we all win the war, the All Valley tournament against the Yeitzer HaRah. We see the coming of Mashiach, and I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet Good Torah.